Lane Johnson is a Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm. No doubt.
He's about to play in his second Super Bowl. They very well might win it. He's been one of, if not the most dominant tackle in football the last 5 to 7 years. America's teams.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I will.
Okay.
America's teams. The Chiefs, man. Did you not watch that game at Arrowhead last night?
Unfortunately.
Burrowhead.
Did you not see Patrick Mahomes just will his way to a victory? Did you not see Harrison Butker overcome the demons?
I watched that Ron Torbert showcase.
Did you watch the way Willie Gay and Nick Bolton fly around, Chris?
Yeah, they do.
They play the game like Matt Milano. They got 2 Matt Milanos.
Oh, come on.
They got 2 Matt Milanos.
Oh, come on. Okay.
So that's my number one American
team.
Number 2 is the Philadelphia Eagles. They just show dominant power over the Niners. I didn't care who was at quarterback. I don't care if they have Jimmy, Trey, fucking Jay.
Joe Montana.
I don't care. Stevie Young, put him in there.
Yeah.
The Eagles were flying around. You could tell from jump street.
The Eagles.
This team's just different. Also, it's kind of like, was there an easier path to the Super Bowl than the
No, they've had a pretty easy run, but they're here nonetheless. This is where it gets interesting for you.
So my third America's team is the TSA.
Just the general TSA.
Yeah, whatever that stands for. I just see it above the metal detectors at the airport. And I brought my vape pen to the airport, and the guy let me off with a warning. So number 4, Delta Airlines got me to New York every time. Number 5, the Fort Worth Police Department. You're too old to be acting so damn dumb, Stetson.
How hard is it to get a fucking public drunkenness?
He's banging on doors at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll do it.
Pretty easy.
Just should have been doing that in Tuscaloosa, not Dallas. America's teams, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 1, the Cincinnati Bengals. The team everybody wanted to see in the Super Bowl yesterday. Instead, we got treated to Ron Torbert. We got treated to your quarterback Patrick's flop there out of bounds on the late hit.
Very clearly a personal foul, by the way.
It was, even as a defensive lineman.
It sure was. I'm just saying.
I don't expect any smarter from the D-line.
He sold that bad boy.
Wow, that's crazy.
Second, Roger Federer. We just crowned a champion in Australia, and it's a reminder of the greatest to ever do it. Roger Federer, a true gentleman. Man, we'll never forget. I don't care about numbers.
We already forgot it.
People ask me my type if I were to be into, like, guys.
Yeah.
That guy.
Roger Federer?
I need his bank account to come with
Really?
me.
Oh, yeah. You like Roger Federer?
I need his trophy case, his bank account, and his frame.
Yeah.
And we're good.
Yeah, ditto. Number 3, the New York Jets. Who's not rooting for the New York Jets?
Me?
Really?
Yeah.
Quinton Williams doesn't do it for you?
I just like Breece Hall.
Breece Hall.
He's in the training room right now.
He does it for you. Yeah. And look at this quarterback thing figured out. I'd love to see the New York Jets in the playoffs next year.
Who do you want to be their quarterback?
Rodgers. It'll be fun.
Okay.
It will be fun.
If nothing else.
That's going to happen.
The Tennessee Vols. Let me show you something.
Wow.
Tennessee Vols.
They covered, didn't they?
Those are good.
No. I'm off for now.
You really haven't gambled all weekend?
No.
How do you feel?
All week. I probably shouldn't say.
They need to make Nicorette patches for gambling.
No, I've been reading books. As I told you, I eat the chocolate cake every night, and I watch my stories.
Yeah.
It's been a nice little change of pace. Tennessee Vols, look at these frickin' uniforms. They beat Texas at home. Look at that uni.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean,
it's beautiful.
I don't know if you can get better than that.
No, you can't.
They got the Vols script, VOLS, the Tennessee orange piping down the side. It's beautiful. Chris Beard's put his home up for sale in Austin.
Has he?
I think $4.75 million.
Didn't he assault someone?
Allegedly, DV. Yeah.
His daughter.
Hey, I have an idea before are you finished with your America's
not
teams?
His daughter or his wife. No, I'm not.
Who was it?
Fiance. Yeah. Cowboy Reed is my 5th America's team. We played a game of 21 out here.
Yeah.
In the, what do we call it?
On the mini hoop.
On the mini hoop. And
in the vestibule.
In the mini Staples Center.
It was Reed, Kingston, and me. Reed was so physical. He got to the rack with abandon. He was fouling us. I don't know. He had a good back down game. He would go over the top.
You guys are backing each other down.
Yeah. It was a really high level game of 21. I mean, everybody was in the teens by the end of it.
There's good defense, good blocks.
Yeah.
It was fun.
How long did this game take?
It
Staples
took
Center.
a while. We were all sweating at the end, breathing heavily.
Like gym
Center.
class.
Yeah. Needed water.
Well, we keep office supplies right next to there in the closet, so it's pretty clearly the Staples Center.
Nice.
And then crypto.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got an idea before America's teams. It came to me this weekend as my wife struggled to pick an outfit. An app that crowdsources opinions on a woman's outfit before she goes out. Like, hey, I really think you look good in that camel car coat. I don't know. I don't like it. I want to put on this jean jacket.
It's pretty good, like a Spaces thing.
Yeah, well, and so you're like, okay, well, let's ask the people. And there's like a bunch of guys that get paid, you know,
To
like
be horny for fashion.
no, just to be like, yeah, she looks better in option B. And then, you know, you have the blessing of the people, and then she believes you, right? Because obviously when
This
you
seems to be crazy, Tyler.
Is it crazy?
Man.
Is it crazy?
Can't leave until you crowdsource.
I like it. I just worry about the people
I think it's a very
who would
cool, like,
pick the lesser option
Yeah.
just to be jerks.
Do you think?
Well-
no, but these people are verified. These are like verified employees of
Twitter
Okay.
Blue
Yeah.
of
Maybe they're in the
outfit.
fashion space.
So maybe not a great idea.
No, pretty good idea.
I think it's a good idea. I just think it's crazy, the thought of like, I can't.
Well, when you tell your wife that, hey, I think you look better in that, and she's like, I don't really care. I want to see what the other guys think. That's what she's basically saying.
What about gals? Would she? Would
gals?
She,
Gals too. Yeah, gals too.
would she? She
And you
would
get the
probably value a gal's
Yep,
opinion.
and you get the
higher than yours.
metrics. You get the metrics. They're like, hey, 70% of gals like this option A.
100%
44% of dudes option.
Yep.
Anyways,
I like that idea.
gonna-
Instant fashion consulting.
Yep. I'm gonna monetize it pretty soon.
It's not bad.
Manifest America's teams. All the people Kayvon Thibodeau hasn't heard of. Because now there's evidently, I learned this morning, Joe Thomas. You can add him
Joe
to
Staley.
Was it Joe Staley or Joe
Joe
Thomas?
Staley, who went after Kayvon.
Oh, it was Joe Staley.
Yes.
Who was a great player.
Yeah.
Kayvon would be lucky to be as good as him.
Yeah.
Over the course of his career. But he had, I guess he had thrown a little shade at Kayvon.
So Kayvon went on Twitter and said, I guess I'm better. I guess we could be better than the 49ers. And to which,
Oh, he's doing the score thing?
to which Staley,
He said, "We might be able to beat the
49er,
Niners."
said, you're a flash player who gets bodied by average tackles. Don't let the New York media affect you too much.
Yikes. 30.8 likes.
I read it and I went,
1,000.
sheesh.
Yeah, so, of course,
long team.
Kayvon.
That's a badass takedown.
Yeah, Kayvon was
Really well done.
Kayvon was like, and it's very rare. I feel like we have opinions of each other as players, and we could really hurt each other's feelings. But we keep them to ourselves. But in a situation like that, Kayvon had pushed Joe Staley too far, and Kayvon's response to that was, of course, textbook. I don't know who you are. So that this continues just on down the line.
First reply was, it's right there in his profile.
Yeah, Micah Parsons got into it with Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm surprised he didn't know who that was, or I'm surprised he knew who Micah Parsons was.
What's the one? Oh, that's Kayvon's. I'm rubber, you're glue.
What is that?
Whatever you
Bounces off me
Yeah.
and
sticks to you. Yeah, that's his. Who are you? I've never heard of you.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go. I want to shout out the Hotel Rittenhouse in Rittenhouse Square, Philadelphia. It's where I take my family when we go up there, and they're awesome. But they're not in America's teams because I have four others. Okay, the 76ers, they hooked us up this weekend. I went to go see Nuggets 76ers with my family. The Sixers had us courtside. It was fucking awesome. I got to ring the bell, which makes me really nervous because the first time I rang the bell was with Lane, and we had some edibles, and I think we hit the bell on the wrong part. I think we hit like the arm of the bell. It was really confusing. To be fair, a lot of people were like, hey, nice job with the bell. I said, it's harder than it fucking looks. The bell's small. It's a small bell, small mallet. You know
You
how
don't want to
awkward.
miss.
You know how awkward you feel like guiding a small mallet onto a bell?
Yeah.
I think it should be a big old Liberty Bell, actual size.
You did like a full body wind up. You like stepped away.
Yeah,
stepped
yeah,
into
yeah.
it. I was thinking
Yeah.
like you were about to sledgehammer.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm like, okay, I'm chopping wood. Yeah, I'm chopping wood, or I'm hammering something in. But I think they should go bigger bell, like a big gong. You know what I
looked
mean?
great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You had a great
Right.
fit.
I went to Mitchell and Ness. Shout out to those guys. They hooked me up with the Iverson jersey down there. My kids were in Iverson gear. I think maybe Luke was in a Dr. J jersey. Meg, of course, camel car coat.
Does it get any cooler than that?
No, it doesn't. It was really cool. It was so cool, the fact that like Swoop came over and the Blue Bear for the 76ers, the mascot, that came over after they were shooting some T-shirts out.
Luke knows Dr. J like Kayvon knows Joe Staley.
I don't know who that is.
No clue.
The mascots came over and mugged it up with us and got a picture, and Waylon was like, how lucky are we of all these people in the stadium? I'm like, they don't know that I got some hookups there. Yeah. They just think like mom hooked it up or something. But the bell was good.
The first swing, was the bell not turned on?
The bell wasn't really turned on.
The mic was off.
There was a mic issue. It definitely wasn't the swinger.
Well, because the subsequent swings were on point.
Thank you. And Kingston was, 2 out of 3 will get you the All-Star game in baseball. But like Kingston,
1 out of 3.
Kingston happened to be up in the stands, so
there was 3 huge cheers that night. One, the third biggest cheer was for the Sixers coming back from the 17-point deficit and winning.
17, it was awesome. I had Sixers money line. I had the over. Thank you, Matt.
Yep, no problem. And then second biggest cheer was you ringing the bell. People were going crazy for that. But the biggest cheer was when the crowd almost won free Chick-fil-A.
It was awesome. It was awesome. You know it. You know that cheer, that free something, free throw.
Let's hear it, Section 27.
You know that cheer when you hear it. It was awesome. Also, Niang is probably a guy I would zero in on for the conversation we had last week. I think I might be able to.
Well, you did have a beef opportunity. I thought I saw Jokic kind of like poke your hip.
Oh, he did.
Touch you.
Jokic touched me, man.
Yeah.
When?
So first things first, Jokic, I was out there getting ready to ring the bell, and during the anthem, I was standing there, and Jokic was like 15 feet in front of me, and they're snapping pictures of him left and right. And I'm back there like trying to photobomb it. Because I'm like, and I remembered the photographer who was taking him as photographer 15, and I'm on the hunt for this guy. So if you were photographer 15 at the Wells Fargo Center, and you took a picture of Jokic with me possibly photobombing him in the background, I would blow that up so big. I would pay you so much money for that. And then I'm going out to the bell, and I feel a big hand like kind of move me a little bit. And I look to my right, and it's Jokic, and he ran by me and put his hand on my shoulder. I was like, oh my God, he touched me. It was so fucking cool seeing Jokic and Embiid.
How big are they in person?
Oh my God, and they're so skilled. I mean, Embiid's mid-range game is crazy, dude. Like, to see it in person, like this guy pulling up from wherever.
He's playing 2K
and handling the ball like a guard. It's amazing. So America's team, 76ers, thanks for the hookup.
Can we play 2K again, guys? Can we play basketball video games again?
That'd be fun.
People at home are like, can we talk about the AFC and NFC Championship?
Was he touching you to touch you, or to get you out of the way, or just to make contact?
I think he just was like making sure we didn't run into each other. Because that would have been bad for him.
Okay.
There's only 2 games. Show some fucking patience. We're talking about our weekend.
Yep. So Sixers, I'll go Eagles, Bengals, Lottie fucking da. And then I'll go Eagles tailgaters. I got the tailgate for 2-3 hours. I went to Joe Makowitz's tailgate.
I FaceTimed into that tailgate.
Immediately I roll up. People are giving me various shots of whiskey. Everybody wants to give me a beer. It was like awesome. But long story short, throw this up on the cast here. This is a video.
Dude, you're a Super Bowl champ. You get to go back to Philly.
It's really cool. It's cool. You FaceTime me there. It was cool.
That's something I'll never experience.
This is a guy who will go unnamed who was at the tailgate towards the tail end, and he was getting up on top of the bus to take a picture. And luckily, I'm standing next to the bus because I saved this man's life.
Whoa.
Yeah,
He
fell down. That's me catching him. You can't really see me, but I saved the man's life this weekend. Watch this. This is like a 7 to 8 foot drop. Yeah, caught his whole body.
He was going to face plant.
Yeah. He might have been dead.
You went dad mode.
Wow.
No, I mean, it was a really nice moment. I saved a life in the canine
in the moment
lot.
When you caught him, did you have hands on hips, like hip to butt?
I caught him like full body,
crotch to butt.
Yeah, crotch to butt, and I almost fell down. Yeah, but it was a small price to pay to save a man's life.
What did he say?
Thank you.
He whispered, "Thank you."
Yeah, no, he said thank you.
On the cheek.
He said, "Go Birds."
Go Birds. I'm sure he said, "Go Birds."
Yeah. Well, it was just hey, listen, I'm not trying to say I'm like Blaine Gabbert or anything, but maybe more heroic
because he was on land.
He's a 220-pound man. Yeah. So, anyways, that went down in the K9 lot. Yeah, true story. America's teams, there they are.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Did you mean to say Bengals with me?
Oh, fuck yeah, Chiefs. And, yeah. No, I'll say Bengals
Can I add
too.
one more to American
I'll say
teams?
Bengals too because I had a lot of money on the Bengals, and thankfully the teaser with the Eagles and the Bengals saved my bacon, but that was bad.
Can I add one more?
Yeah.
It'll be all the fans that went to the Eagles game and that bought tickets to the Villanova game
Yes, they stayed for both.
to get into the parking lot.
Well, they also, some went to the game.
But
and then-
it's amazing. Like that,
Yeah.
it really goes noticed how crazy these
Philly's a
fans
great
are.
sports city. You have
And that
Wells
stadium
Fargo
was
down there.
incredible.
Yeah.
Both the home stadiums yesterday were unmatched.
You have Citizens Bank, you have Wells Fargo, you have the Link, all there within, a couple.
Philly loves its financial services.
They do. And also, I want to shout out Citizens Bank because I was in the suite with those guys and they were really cool. And some listened to the podcast. So,
Nice.
which game do you want to start with? We should probably start with the early one, get
Start
that
with
out of the way.
Bears.
Because that was ugly. I mean, it got ugly fast.
Dud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it wasn't that fast. It was just there was a moment in the second quarter where I thought the Niners were going to make this a game. There was a long spell where the stadium was pensive. We were all nervous because one of the things I said going in this game is Eagles second level defenders are going to have to tackle. There were a couple missed tackles. You had the Brock Purdy injury, of course, but Josh Johnson was moving the ball okay. They looked like they could at least compete at that moment. The biggest plays of the game were these fourth down calls by Nick Sirianni. Okay, the first drive, it's 4th and 7 or whatever it is, or 4th and 5. It's not 4th and short. They take a shot to Devontae Smith. Now, that's not a catch. Okay, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
But they got 20 seconds to throw that challenge flag, and I don't believe that Kyle Shanahan had the right angle. I mean, because it was pretty easy for us to see at home with the multitude of angles we have. I believe if he had the right angle or the right intel, he would have thrown the challenge
But
flag.
do you even need to see it? You didn't just see Devontae Smith putting his fists together saying to line up.
Yes. And
Isn't that enough of a read?
To me, it would be, especially early in that game, in a game that you think is going to be a defensive ball game and you don't want to be down in. Like we
You
talked
may
about.
immediately be looking at the Jumbotron too, or talking to your guys upstairs. What did you guys see? I can't tell.
And
that's going on.
Well,
And then he's lining up.
and then they're on the ball.
In
Yes.
the booth, they're watching the TV feed, and Fox didn't have the right angle until after the break.
Fox is on the payroll.
Well, just suffice to say, there's a lot of guys up there feeding Shanahan information who are watching the TV broadcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Greg Olson's talking about, hey, what a catch, all that stuff. So I hear. And that's tough. I mean, they have 20 seconds to get that right. They don't get it right. And it ends up hurting them because you didn't want to go down in this ball game. Even if Brock Purdy was healthy, it's not a blueprint to follow. But obviously with the injuries to the quarterback, once the Eagles went up 21-7, I thought this game was toast. There was another fourth down where the Eagles are on their own 35, and they go for it, and they get it. And I think, and this is relatively early in the ball game, and a lot of people, probably don't go for it there. A lot of people definitely a few years back don't go for it there.
Get it out of there.
Nick Sirianni fits the city perfectly. His personality, the personality has his team playing with. And a lot of it, you can try to get your team to be arrogant and on that line and walk in cocky and have that attitude. But unless you call the game that way, they're not going to follow. And, taking risks like that is part of their DNA, and it paid off in the first half.
Well, players are a lot smarter than coaches give them credit for, and we understand, based on the decisions the coaches are making during the game, how they truly feel from a confidence level.
Yes.
And to your point, if you're going to talk that talk, you got to walk the walk, and your players will make note of that. Like, why aren't we fucking going for it? Mm-hmm. If you believe in us, let's do this thing.
No question.
Yeah.
And it's epitomized there. And Nick Sirianni is a hell of a ball coach. Jalen Hurts didn't play that well, but he didn't need to outduel anybody. It was Brock Purdy for a little bit, and obviously Haason Reddick with a huge play. They didn't have a plan for blocking Haason Reddick. I mean, he's unblocked. They're kind of blocking him with a tight end, and he makes them pay. And I got to say this, when you think about having one clutch guy on that D-line, they have 3 guys with double-digit sacks, but the one guy all year who's made plays, I went to a game week 4 against Jacksonville, who made the play to make sure that they won that game. I mean, it was Haason Reddick. Who made the biggest play of the NFC Championship game? It's Haason Reddick, hitting Brock Purdy's arm really hard.
Going for the ball.
Going for the
instead of
ball.
the hit.
Being ball aware. and changing the entire game. And I think he's paid off a ton all year long. And in the biggest spot, this guy changes the entire game. And
it was
then
a DPOY moment.
They knocked Josh Johnson out of the game, and that's pretty much it. And it was bizarre seeing Shanahan sit there in his hood and like just watch this thing kind of tick off. Yeah. You know, there was a time where McCaffrey's looking at his sheet in the second half, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, they don't have any passes up. In retrospect, if I was coaching, I probably would have been like, who's our emergency quarterback? More trick plays. Like, you know, we're gonna throw the ball. We're going to run Wildcat. But
Big Cat said it well on Twitter. He said, Christian McCaffrey is such a purely good football player that him at quarterback actually scares the fuck out of me.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, you had no other choice. But he was intent on running that thing out. And now I think the interesting thing is going to be the 49ers and their future. You know, because you have Brock Purdy with, as you called it, a Tommy John type thing.
Good job, Doc.
Yeah, good job, Doc. And he's gonna be a question mark going into next season. Like, is he gonna be their guy? Is Trey Lance gonna be their guy? Is it gonna be somebody off the board? Shanahan and the Niners have had terrible luck here. You know, I can think back to like Jimmy Garoppolo tearing his ACL. I can think back to, you know, last season getting that close and losing the ball game in the playoffs. The Super Bowl they lost. They've been in a championship game like 3 times. They're like the new Buffalo Bills, mini Buffalo Bills, and they've had a ton of injuries at quarterback. And, you know, a lot of people say, like, they play a physical brand of football. This is what happens. You have injuries at the wrong time. They're all quarterbacks. You know, they've had other injuries, but the thing that has snake bit them has been this quarterback position.
It was 7-0. Philly went 3 and out, 4 and out, 3 and out. It did have that feeling of, okay, San Francisco, they haven't gotten the breaks. They didn't get the Devontae call, and but they're hanging around. And then Brock went out, and that was sort of lights out. That 4th and 1, I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Do we do away with the push the quarterback in the back to get 1 to 2 to 3 yards?
The old Reggie Bush?
No.
Kind of an annoying play.
No, I like the play.
Was that the Reggie Bush Matt Liner?
Okay. Yeah.
A little rugby.
Which was not allowed then.
A little rugby, a little
I think
scrummage.
It's great. I think they call that a prop in rugby. I'm not sure. Prop is the guy who puts his head in between the crotch and he just fucking drives like a sled.
Doesn't feel like football.
I got no beef with the play.
You would like that play? You would
I got no
line
beef
up
with the
against
play.
it? You would get even lower?
I don't know. I do better on 1st and 2nd and 3rd
You
down.
have to submarine.
Another thing in this game that I want to point out is, and he's a friend of mine, so I'm biased, but Lane Johnson is a Hall of Famer.
No doubt.
He's about to play in his 2nd Super Bowl. You know, they very well might win it. He's been one of, if not the most dominant tackle in football the last 5 to 7 years. The injury he's playing with is major.
Yeah.
Like, make no mistake about it. It is not a minor injury. I had heard leading up to the game that Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa, in fact, had similar injuries, and they were like calling around to find out about Lane's recovery because I guess the same doctors had worked on it. Like, how is he playing? You know, and Lane going out there and playing Nick Bosa, the Defensive Player of the Year. I cannot understate this how well he blocked him. This is the best defensive player in football, arguably. We can talk about Chris Jones in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I zeroed in on Lane, and like nothing was working for Nick Bosa. And so you talk about like the accolades. He's got the Pro Bowls. You talk about the Super Bowls. He might have 2. The stretch of dominance. He hasn't given up a pressure, I guess, since he's been back
right.
from his injury. The guy's a Hall of Famer, dude. I mean, okay, like I all these lists of people that say how many Hall of Famers are playing the game today. On some of these lists, I don't see Lane's name. And it's about time we start talking about him that way. He's an amazing player.
It's almost the most shoe-in obvious one for me when people say if you could name any players that are playing currently that are first ballot Hall of Famers. Lane Johnson
At tackle, yeah.
Lane Johnson comes to mind first for me. As a lineman, I'm going to think of lineman anyway. You know, it's Zach Martin, it's Lane Johnson. Those are the two guys that I can think of. Off
Trent
the top
Williams.
Of my head. Well, Trent Williams, obviously.
the other guy on the field last night, who's a great player, kind of lost his cool a little bit.
Lane makes it look boring. There are even times where Trent's playing and things look out of control and chaotic. But when Lane Johnson plays the game of football, he's so aware of his body and the understanding of the offense. He's as smart as he is athletic.
Yes.
He's as explosive as he is big.
What's the Joe Thomas is Mr. O-line, right?
What's
the difference between Lane and Joe Thomas in their primes?
Their positions and their set types.
But there's no difference in their effectiveness.
No.
I mean, he's put up a body of work over the last 5 years that's been as good as anybody. And
he's an off button.
And he's the biggest reason that offensive line, you can take it for granted every year. Look how differently we felt about that offensive line when Driscoll was lined up there at right tackle. It's just one player. So I just want to give him his props. His set is so athletic and technically sound. He's an underhand puncher. He absorbs power. Like, you could see Nick Bosa, when he can't bowl somebody, it's like, oh, fuck.
He goes to arm over, and then it's just
this thing that I can do to everybody, I can't do it to this guy.
Yeah.
And he beats me to the spot. Like, I can't burn the edge against him. He doesn't give up inside moves. He's square the whole time.
Yeah.
Lane deserves a lot of credit, man.
And a lot of it goes into his offseason prep and what he does during the season.
Yep.
We know Gabe Rangel, his trainer.
Yep.
We know the extent to which he built a barn on his property.
Gym on his property.
Full-blown training facility, recovery center. A lot of the Eagles recover and train there.
Yep.
Shout out to Lane, definitely a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for sure. And, Jason Kelce played great too. I mean, you saw him on some of these run plays where he's getting up to the second level. It's just insane, dude.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Micah gave Lane some props. He tweeted, "I don't think people realize what Lane's doing right now. Freaking heroic. One of my favorite players in this league."
That's
Micah
respect,
Parsons?
bro. That's respect. Yeah. And that's respect. And good on Micah Parsons, because there's so many guys in this league now. It's such an alpha league.
Nobody gets flowers.
Where nobody wants to give each other credit. And there's a guy in Dallas giving a guy in Philly credit who he lines up across from. And, him and Jason are legends in that city. And I got to tell you, it was kind of weird being in the stands, like, while those guys were winning. It was like a bunch of my teammates. I'm getting ushered out through the hall to go meet the NFL Fox on Sunday guys so I can get in the truck to the airport. And I'm walking by where I used to walk in, and I'm walking by, and I'm seeing some of the family members of my old teammates. I saw Jay Ajayi, Corey Clement, a bunch of guys up in the suite. But to see my boys, like, in uniform, you're like, damn, should I have stuck around till 37? I just had to wait 5 more years for this.
You're not alone. I had the same feeling last night.
Yeah. With Kansas City.
Kyle and I discussed this morning, and I think we're aligned. We agree. We're on the same page. You're going to root for Philly to lose in the Super Bowl.
No.
So that you are on the most recent Philly Super Bowl team.
It doesn't work that way, because this team's better. They're just better.
Well, I don't know.
They're better.
I think you guys had the perfect storm.
Do you want Haason Reddick out there ringing the Liberty Bell?
Yes.
Chris, you guys had the perfect storm. I do agree this team is more built for battle the whole year, and they've been great the whole year. But what you guys did, and you guys were galvanized.
Dude, what we did was special.
Yeah.
What we did was special. When you look back at our
the quarterback storylines and the injuries.
When you look back at our year, they're totally different teams. They're teams where, like,
but it's fun to play with you wearing a Chiefs shirt during the Super Bowl, because.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is I pull for those guys. Like, I want there to be 2 Super Bowl teams in Philly. Like, at some point they're going to win a Super Bowl. You can't be the guy
and
that's
Hurts
like,
is going to win a third.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
But the way I've always my fandom in Philly, it's not really about the team. Like, yeah, I root for the team. I want my friends to be happy. I want the team to do well. But it's about honestly, it's about the people. You know how I feel about the people.
You root for the feathers on the side of the helmet, not the feathers on the back of the jersey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I like them being happy. Like, when I was at the tailgate yesterday, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot imagine.
I tell you, I've still never been to a tailgate in Chicago.
Well, you love it.
Can we go to one next year?
I'd love to.
Arlington Heights.
But you can't imagine being the guy that was on the 17 team being like, I'm pissed this is going on.
No, I know. We were obviously.
But that is a tough thing, like, because, when you leave a team, a lot of guys, whether they tell you or not, they're like, I don't want that team to do well.
Yeah.
But we won a Super Bowl. So, like, I'm not coming from it from a situation where you're like, there's
no
any
salt
insecurity.
there.
Bro, I would love to go to another parade on Broad Street and do it and be on the side of the street.
Throwing shit at them.
Like, when I watched those people in 2018, in the winter of 2018, I just was like, man, I love being up on this float, but I could also imagine being down there.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd be able to make it if they won the Super Bowl because I got to go to Africa and stuff. But like, it would be amazing. So I'm so happy for them. But it was fucking weird walking through the tunnel and being like, I think I just saw BG. Like, do I say what's up to BG, or am I a fan now? Like, it's different, but it was really cool being at that game. So the Eagles are in the Super Bowl. Kansas City, enormous win, man. Like, when you think about how differently, I went back and I said this week, I should have seen it coming, that Spags would have these guys ready to play, that they would be like a wounded animal, that they would be, you know, that this championship DNA would kick in for them. I mean, the same thing for the Bengals. There was a moment in that game where you're like, okay, this is a team that's been there. Like, the way they fought back. But Kansas City, they've just been there too much. And they've had enough. And if you watch that first game, the way Cincinnati owned the line of scrimmage in the run game, Joe Burrow was pretty clean. That was a totally different game. I mean, like, from the beginning, Joe was under siege. And I thought Spags did a great job. I thought the offensive line was outmatched, and this is a team with, like I said, championship DNA. There's no accident they're here. It's the quietest 16-3 of all time.
Yeah.
When they said, I heard this morning, 2 16-3 teams playing each other in the Super Bowl.
Beautiful.
One of those teams, the Eagles, felt like a juggernaut all year. The other team, everybody, myself included, is
Well, we've LeBron'd them. They're so good for so long that we start to just be like, who else? You know, who else is good?
I also think it's the Tyreek Hill thing. It's, hey, like, the visual of those big top-end plays that they were hitting with Tyreek Hill there, and then him leaving, and you thinking, like, the offense is not going to be as good. You look at the names on the paper, you're like, there's no way.
We talked about it week 1, bro.
Yeah.
They tried to change his game up, and he just changed the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He changed the game. He changed the terms of the game. And
driving in this morning, and I was thinking about the things I wanted to talk about when I was talking about the Chiefs, and I was thinking about Travis Kelce and the back spasms he was going through, and I think about Frank Clark and the health issues he's had. I think about Willie Gay and the suspension that he served, and I think about L'Jarius Sneed last year losing his brother on the Chiefs. His brother was murdered. Mm-hmm. And the things that have galvanized this team over the course of the last 2-3 years. And even the rookies that are on this team now, they've gotten to look in to what being the top dog is like, because you got mayors in another city claiming birthrights over your quarterback. You've got people disrespecting your teammates. And they even try to change the name of your stadium. So
Burrowhead does sound kind of cool, though.
It sounds cool, but it ain't right. Cool. And I get the smack talk, but I really give credit to the fans for knowing their role and showing up and showing the fuck out. From the onset of that game, midway through the second quarter, they were at top decibel, and it made it a nightmare for Joe Burrow and that offensive line. I give huge credit to Steve Spagnuolo for saving his nut with Chris Jones at defensive end for the right situation.
For the last play, the biggest play of the game.
Because you can double your guy in there at the 3. You can double him at the shade. But when you put him out there in a big situation with the silent count and that crowd noise, and you've got a shark on the other side of the line of scrimmage, one of the top playoff sack artists in league history, Frank Clark, you can say, Chris Jones, go get him. Fold the pocket back, beat him inside, beat him over the top, whatever you have to do. But Steve Spagnuolo let his guys play yesterday. I give credit to Nick Bolton and Willie Gay, who got cooked in the first matchup, and they showed up and they fucking cooked last night.
And you said it, the crowd, man. Like, from the beginning, the Bengals had trouble.
And Harrison Butker.
And Butker. 3rd and 4, goes to 3rd and 9. Volson gets walked. Okay, like, Volson, he's one of the only guys that's on the original group there, and him and the left tackle had a tough day. But you go 3rd and 4 to 3rd and 9 on a sack. Burrow almost throws a pick on 3rd and 9. You get Willie Gay coming on a sack, which I have that in my notes.
Willie Gay coming on a sack.
So I
it's always violent with Willie Gay.
Yeah, and so Willie Gay, like, and this is Spags, man. Carmen gets in his stance on one of these early 3rd downs, and Carmen's ready to set to a 5 technique. He's right outside him, and Willie Gay comes up and stems late, and Carmen's already set, and he just can't compete with his speed. And there's a sack. So, like, there's one situation where Spags is manipulating things. There's another one where Spags has Bolton floating in the A-gap, to demand the one-on-one for Chris Jones. Well, he gets his first playoff sack just like that.
Yep.
Karlaftis beats Wiley.
I love Karlaftis.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. And then you get a double team on Jones, so that affects having Wiley singled up on Karlaftis. The only thing for the Bengals is, there were delayed games and that sort of thing. Dunlap had a big pressure on a pick. So the D-line showed up to play. For the Bengals, the one thing that bothered me at times early in this game is when Chris Jones is out of the game, you got to take shots.
Yeah.
You got to go back. You got to get in your drop back pass.
You have time to pass.
You have time to pass.
That's a great point.
That should be, and there was a possession where Chris Jones is out 5 to 7 plays, and I counted it. They had one drop back pass. It was screen.
Even drive starters he's not in. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, so that's where you have to take some shots, and they didn't do a good enough job of being like, okay, Chris Jones is not on the field. We got to take our shots. The one shot they took with him out on this possession I'm talking about, they had a big play to Boyd. So, the Bengals had trouble before the half. They didn't spike the ball. That was really dumb. Mm-hmm. They wasted, valuable time. They lose it down basically because with 8 seconds, Burrow takes a shot down to 4 seconds, and then you got to kick the field goal, and that's before the half, and that's a big deal. So, I thought the defensive line showed up to play. I thought Spags had a great game plan, and I think Mahomes just adds to his lore, man. And I should have known this. I hated our social going up from Monday because at that point we were talking about Patrick Mahomes, the way he was running around on Sunday and hearing high ankle sprain and that sort of thing. But it was pretty evident to me early in the week, seeing him walk off that podium, that he was walking all right.
He's also a big show. I mean, he is
showman.
A showman.
Yeah,
and he's also he grew up in a house with a major leaguer. He understands how people look from the outside in and try to gain information. He knows everybody's going to study that film of him walking off the podium. He's not going to walk with a limp. The guy's in a lot of pain. When you see him on the field, he's limping. After big runs, he's limping.
But all the things we said that were out the window were not out the window.
No, when you looked at it last night with a rollout.
Yeah, I mean, he could move. The first touchdown on 4th and 1, he's rolling right and he stops on a dime and hits Kelce. Kelce's doing a corner route and them working off schedule with each other. The pitch rolling left where he kind of shovel past that thing, but it was a sack. I mean, even though it was a sack, I'm sitting there watching, I'm like, he's fine. I know his ankle hurts, but think about also, you get 2 more weeks. And knowing from my experience with having a high ankle and mine being probably worse than his, judging by the way he played, 2-3 weeks, it'll be a month from when it happened almost. You can be a lot better by that point. And, I think he got cold in the second or third. There was a moment where the Chiefs were a little bit anemic offensively, and they had those stretches in the Jacksonville game, so they have to eliminate those. But they just have that championship DNA. They came back strong. The officiating, you want to take that?
Can I empty my notebook first before getting to Ron Torbert?
Yeah.
Okay. Tyler Boyd, big loss.
Yeah.
Because then they could start doubling the other 2 guys. Yep. And Tyler Boyd started off.
Tony wanted to double everybody, by the way.
Yeah, Tony. Here's one. You know how in basketball it's a TV timeout, you bring out the folding chairs.
Yeah.
Timeout in football, why don't we bring out a few folding chairs for the most tired or injured players? Just get off your feet for a minute.
I can get on board with that.
Yeah.
320 pounds on a chair dents the ground.
Well,
Zero gravity chairs.
It's got to be a sturdy chair.
Maybe
Zero
love
gravity.
sacks.
Yeah. Valdez Scantling. I was told that you can only break the plane of the goal line, not when you're out in the middle of the field. You can't break the plane and then bring the ball back.
Yep.
That's like running back.
Yep.
Okay? We're on board with that?
Sure.
Missed call. Okay. Wiley, the unsportsmanlike. How delightful was that?
That was awesome.
That was funny.
My boy Wiley was giving me all.
And then any other position gets away with that. But he's an O-lineman.
I loved that. And I hate that it's fattest is what it is.
Yes, fattest. Yeah. Burrow
come up with a new term here.
Burrow juking 32 on that run. Do you remember that?
Oh, it was amazing.
Dude, so cool.
He's so athletic.
He runs like a speed walker.
Big tackle by T. Higgins on that pick. Number 23, He had 50 yards of green in front of him.
Yeah.
Higgins, I hope he's on the Bears.
Hey, you said something about MVS. Can I interject? He won his matchup all night.
Yeah.
And he's a long strider, fast guy.
He almost had 50 more on the one that Mahomes missed him
Hilton
on.
just couldn't, these deep overs and that sort of thing. He just can't. It's just too much too much green, you know, and that again, like here's another guy that you know you're like it's MVS.
Yep.
They make the most of him.
Marcus Kemp comes in, makes a catch.
Pacheco ran out of 3 guys. Pratt had him dead to right.
Pacheco was great. Pacheco was great. Every time they get around midfield, I feel like there's a screen or an explosive that they get out of Pacheco where he breaks a bunch of tackles. There's another guy. Viewing party. Bill Belichick watching a Rutgers guy that they found at the bottom of the draft, like playing Championship Sunday. Like, how the fuck did we not? How the fuck did we not draft this guy?
Did y'all think P. Ryan was close enough on that intentional grounding?
Nah.
Ryan looks exactly like Cedric Pyramid as a football player.
Yeah, got a beard. Same number, pretty much.
Team number.
Yeah. Zach Taylor probably makes the right call going 4th and 12 from the 37 because Andy Reid elects to punt. But he could have had 3rd and 22 at the 47. You guys okay with it?
So I thought that was a really interesting mechanical part of the game because, you know, at that point, of course, like there's a penalty, so you could back him up, but you're not sure if they're going to kick with Bucker or punt.
Well, 55-yarder.
Yeah, it would have been a long one. I think they were going to punt. I think what he's doing is slow playing it and watching the sideline. And when their punter, who had a really nice game, gets up off the bench, he's saying, okay, we will decline this. Which I thought was interesting gamesmanship. You don't see that a lot.
Tommy Townsend, though, number 1 in net.
Coughing corner king yesterday.
He's great lettuce.
Yeah.
When Hurst caught that ball from Burrow on that 3rd down, I thought they were going to drive for the game-winning score.
I'll tell you what, when they get 3rd and long, 4th and long, and Burrow's in there at quarterback, I'm like, here they go.
But here's the thing. Chris Jones,
and then there was Chris Jones.
Yeah, Chris Jones. We talk about DPOY with Nick Bosa and that whole thing. It's a weird year for that.
On Sunday, God made Chris Jones.
I'll admit, like, you know, Nick Bosa is my pick for DPOY. He didn't really show up big in the playoffs. Like, that's not what you want to see from a DPOY. I don't know that I would have given it to somebody else based on the regular season, but Chris Jones might be these graphics.
What about Haason Reddick?
I think Chris Jones changes the game more than Haason Reddick. Haason Reddick is one of 5 guys.
He has a lot of production.
He's their most productive guy. He's their most clutch guy. But when you talk about like getting ready to block Chris Jones or Haason Reddick,
I lose sleep as an O-lineman over Chris Jones.
So all I'm saying is, you know, there's a bunch of graphics at the beginning of the AFC Championship and the NFC Championship weekend, and it's like, who's the best defensive player remaining? They've got Fred Warner up there. They have Chris Jones. They have, you know, Nick Bosa, a bunch of guys, Ufanga, the whole thing. And I kept looking at Chris Jones. I mean, this is before the game. And I'm saying to myself, like, he really might be the best player left on defense. Now, he didn't get the DPOY honor. He wasn't discussed the same way that some guys were. But when you look at him at the end of that game, forcing a grounding backed up, the pressures, the TFLs, putting him out at end to seal the game. That's the biggest fucking play of the game. It's the biggest play of a defensive lineman's, it's what you dream of. Game on the line, 3rd down. Everybody in the building knows they got to block me, get me out on the edge.
And he gave the wave.
He's just so dominant, man. And I think he deserves his flowers. Like, he was the most important player of the game last night. I mean, obviously Mahomes is the quarterback, but how differently do they look without him on the field?
Yeah.
Torbert and the fellas give the Chiefs 3 shots at that 3rd down.
That was maddening as somebody who was on the Bengals ticket.
Yeah.
It was absolutely maddening. And then, of course, they get a sack, and Eli Apple, Hill played well. He had a couple sacks, one of them negated by Eli Apple's holding.
Yeah. Turned him. Our guy Gene on the broadcast said not enough of a twist to get a flag.
I want to say this. Yeah, I want to say this. Sky Moore had a big punt return. We didn't hear a lot about him this year.
Block in the back.
There was probably a block in the back.
We talked about him in the Colts loss. That's it. When he fumbled the muff.
And to step up with a 20-plus yard punt return with the game on the line. Like, as soon as he returned that punt, you just knew that something was going to happen. And, here's a young player that stepped up. We talk about Pacheco. We talk about bringing in MVS. The young DBs had really nice moments. So, like,
Trent and Cook.
That's really, really, really encouraging if you're the Chiefs. Like, you get the young kid with the big punt return, you get the DBs, you get your free agents stepping up, you get your draft picks stepping up, and then at the end of the game, Tony Romo comes out of commercial. I couldn't stop laughing because they do a Fire Country promo, which looks fucking just
like a fire porno.
Yeah.
It's like a.
So he's like, you want to talk about fire country? I'm like, where's Tony going with this?
Yeah,
And he sticks to the landing, sort of, and he's like, somebody's getting fired if they fuck this up in the next 2 minutes. And I'm saying to myself, like, Tony, what a fucking segue.
Can I say
And then 90 seconds later, Osai, who played a big role for them down the stretch, his life is going to be different forever. And I always say this when something like this happens.
Maybe better. Sometimes you can use adversity.
I don't think so.
Okay.
He's not a quarterback. He's not somebody like Osai pushing Mahomes out of bounds. That's a penalty. And at that point, Butker's going to kick that ball through the uprights. And I thought he tore his ACL. He's lucky he didn't.
Dude,
turns out it was
awful.
Maybe he wishes he did, because then everybody's like, man, I'm sorry. Instead of like Jermaine Pratt walking in the locker room, like, why the fuck would you touch the quarterback? That's my last game. Jermaine Pratt is a free agent. Like, I felt so bad for him. You could see him on the sideline sobbing. And if you want to know why NFL players make so much money, it's not just because of the supply and demand aspect of it. It's not just because of the fact that we are rare athletes and people playing a really violent, dangerous game and people are entertained by it. It's also because there's a lot of risk reputationally. Okay, like you want to know why it's hard to be a pro athlete? He woke up yesterday morning and he was playing a nice role on a team that might end up in the Super Bowl. He woke up this morning.
He was hoping he would make a big play, and then
and they were right at the sticks. So I don't know if he's thinking the sticks are important.
And not everybody knew his name in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. But he will never forget this. He might never live this down. There are plays.
It's like Brandon Bostic.
I'm being honest, in games, and this is like in the Super Bowl we won, there are plays that haunt me because I didn't make them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they stick in my head. And sometimes I'll be getting out of the shower and I'll be like, what if I made that play? How different would my life be? This guy lost them the game. And it's not just losing them the game. They were there last year, the exhaustion of going to the Super Bowl, getting this close again. The Bengals, their franchise history, taking that into context. This guy's life has changed forever. And I feel really bad for him. Yeah, I feel really bad for him.
The Evan Washburn, Zach Taylor interview in the tunnel after the team
I didn't see it.
Was really telling of the vibe inside the locker room. And, for the first time all week, I felt bad for the Bengals.
Just awful. So fire country.
Coming up next,
the Super Bowl.
Well, what'd you guys think of the
sweaty, handsome guy in a Carhartt outfit is entombed in flames?
Yeah.
What'd you think of Kelce post-game?
He's a wrestler.
He's amazing.
Entertaining, and yet I'm good for the next couple weeks on the Kelce Bowl.
Well, you'll get it in 2 weeks.
Same.
We
I love Jason and I love
great.
Travis, but ease up on the Kelce.
I used to hate the graphics with you and me on them.
Same. I think that might be why I hate it even more.
Yeah, because it's just like, okay.
I've seen this movie.
Yeah.
But I will say this. When Patrick was doing his interview with Tracy Wolfson after the game,
she was out of breath.
She couldn't land that plane.
Yeah.
By the way,
you could tell she was trying to get to the end of the question.
I give Tracy credit. I think
she's awesome.
She is a stalwart
awesome.
in this industry. But
we treadmilled next to each other during the NCAA tournament.
I bet she crushed you.
Oh yeah,
she's a dog.
Yeah.
I will say that I wish Patrick had the opportunity to just speak by himself without being interrupted a few times.
Yeah.
Because it was an icon. What we witnessed was 08 U.S. Open Tiger. We witnessed MJ flu game. We witnessed all that in a football game.
He had a high ankle or something like that before the Raiders game last year. He torched them. Like if you look back, we got fooled, man. We got fucking bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray.
He thought he was.
No, I mean, like, this guy was supposed to be hurt. He wasn't hurt. I mean, he's hurt, but...
And I think about the one missed throw over the middle where he threw it behind MVS, and that would have been another 50-yard pop for MVS and maybe a touchdown.
Yeah. Let's preview this game because it's going to be really fun. I would make the argument, as an Eagles fan, I was sitting there like, who would you rather play? And honestly, I think you'd have rather played the Bengals. So for me, I wanted the Bengals to win because of the money, but also because I think it's a better matchup for the Eagles.
Matchup for the D-line and the O-line in that.
Think about it. Like, the Eagles D-line would feast on that O-line.
Yes.
Even though I think some guys have filled in admirably, all that stuff, they would feast on them. Another thing is...
They obviously have their way with everybody, by the way.
But I think Kansas City's O-line can at least put up a fight. Andy Reid can scheme around a little bit. The run game worries me a little bit. But from the Chiefs' perspective, when you're the Eagles, you're getting ready to play Cincinnati. who scares the living shit out of you up front defensively? Nobody. What makes them strong is they have a bunch of good players. But when you get ready to play Chiefs, you're going to be spending, and we just got done talking about it all week, talking about Chris Jones. You also have Travis Kelce. And what are you going to double him with Maddox and somebody over the top? But, like, that kind of worries me a little bit. You know, the middle of the field worries me a little bit. Kelce, would you rather take your chances with Chase and Higgins? You know, you got two really good corners. So there's a lot of reasons that I think the Eagles might have rather seen the Bengals. And the line opens up. I saw it's like a pick 'em some places. The Eagles, I had an Eagles -1.5 was my guess, but then I saw something last night where maybe the Chiefs were favored.
Your guess was good because it's settled at Eagles -2 right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, and
Patrick gets 2 weeks, Travis gets 2 weeks, Andy gets 2
Snead.
weeks. Those are the three things.
Snead,
Yes.
Gay, Tony,
Snead
Smith,
being back
Hardman,
is
all of
massive.
them. But they're all hurt. You know, they all left the game, I guess. So, you know, there's a whole bunch to consider here.
You need these 2 weeks so bad. You need these 2 weeks worse if you're the Chiefs.
Yes.
Well, Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson.
Yeah, but
They also get the 2 weeks.
They've been fine.
But
And
they've been great. They've been better than good.
well, Jalen was okay yesterday, but like
Physically.
physically he looks fine.
Yeah.
Spags blitzing Hurts and varying the looks and trying to mess with his eyes. That's going to
be a lot of different multiple looks. So one thing they do is they put Karlaftis at nose. They put Chris Jones at end, which is going to be interesting to see because Lane I think will get on Chris
That's
Jones.
interesting.
And then at the left tackle, they put Frank Clark. So they have 3 defensive ends, and then they fill in between the A and the B gaps with the 2 linebackers. Interested to see if there's going to be a spy. What are they going to do on the read option? How are they going to play? All this stuff. I mean, God, I can't wait to go back and look at this stuff this week.
Yep, no question. It's going to be a great game. And again, like maybe the 2 best teams in football. No matter how we've tried to think around it,
These are blue blood football teams.
these are great football teams, and I think it's going to be a great game. I do. So I you know, like all I can say
And
is
thank God it's a neutral site.
we'll get into previewing this. Can you imagine if that wasn't at Burrowhead Stadium last night and that was at fucking the Mercedes-Benz Dome? How much that
Yeah,
game
but
would
like the
suck?
Super Bowl, if it was in Philly, it would be so advantage Philly. If it was in Kansas City, I think it would be so advantage Kansas City.
You're pro neutral site Super Bowls.
Super Bowls.
Yeah,
Super Bowls.
Okay. So
Let's get those camera wires out the way for Brett Kern.
that too.
How about that?
Fox didn't say anything about it.
We didn't get a replay of it either.
I got to see Gronk yesterday. I got to see Terry. I got to see Jimmy.
How
Howie.
Strahan.
How
I
big
did get to
is
see
he?
Howie. Who? Gronk?
Still,
He's
after he
lean.
played.
He's
Okay.
lean. Yeah, I got a big hug
Like
and
a picture?
I was like, man, we're both skinnier, but like, Gronk. I got to see Jimmy. He had a couple of his Heinekens. TB, the whole gang. So it was really cool to see them. I'll see them again in Phoenix.
Yeah,
So
we'll see him next week.
we'll see them in Phoenix. So that listen, we're going to get into previewing this thing a little bit deeper. Do you have an initial lean, guys?
Philly.
Yeah.
I'm leaning toward Kansas City. I just think they're a team of destiny right now.
Yes.
You're gonna have to tie break us.
Surprise, surprise. I'm leaning Philly. I mean, like, I don't know.
What if Philly's just awesome?
Yeah.
All I keep thinking about is A.J. Brown.
It's hard because
I keep thinking about A.J. Brown.
It's such a weird year this year in the NFL. It felt like in some ways certain teams didn't get challenged. You know, if you look back at Philly, a couple of their biggest wins here, San Francisco, no quarterback. They beat the Giants. The Giants aren't great, right? So the path hasn't been incredibly difficult. Like, what's their biggest regular season win of the year?
Great question.
Yeah, they beat Cooper Rush.
Maybe
They beat Kirk Cousins. They beat, you know,
week 2.
I think there's reason to be skeptical, but there's part of my brain that's also saying, like, is this one of the best teams in recent history?
Yeah.
Like, if you look at them on paper, sure, they haven't been tested in a lot of ways, but might that also be because they're a victim of their own, like, quality of play? Like, they've just dominated people. They're really good. Where are the holes in this team?
And Jalen got hurt. They could be 16-1.
Maddox came back. He's a great football player, man, and just like they're healthy, the whole thing. So
I just think they have so much Super Bowl experience on this Chiefs roster.
Yeah.
And I know there's Super Bowl overlap in Philadelphia as well, but I can't deny Andy Reid's experience. I can't deny Patrick Mahomes' greatness.
Yes.
I can't deny Travis Kelce's ability to get open when he's not open.
Yep.
This is going to be so much fun to watch, and the fact that you're an Eagle Super Bowl winner, and I'm a
Chief,
an AFC West. It's a lot of fun.
Well, my question to you is:
I'm buddies with these guys. You're buddies with those guys.
It's gonna be fun. What's the total? I was gonna guess it should be pretty high. I think it should be like 50.
52.
What do you think, Migs?
I said 51 initially.
Golly day,
49 sounds good too.
49.
49.5.
I'm taking the over.
Yeah.
You just have to think about Mahomes like they just haven't seen a Mahomes. You know, there's going to be some mismatches that they're going to exploit.
You know who probably hasn't seen Mahomes? Kayvon Thibodeau.
No, I've never heard of him.
Who is he?
Who is he? Let's go mentions real quick.
Okay.
Best flight. Tough one.
I got it.
I mean, the Sixers won at home.
San Francisco 49ers.
Oh, I saw their flight.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I was on the tarmac, and they were on the tarmac. All the buses
Did they have
pulled
it
up.
wrapped in Niner stuff, or was
No,
it just
like a fucking generic rental.
U.S. Air?
Yeah.
It was a FedEx plane.
Let's go on vacation.
Yeah.
That was a bummer.
Okay, I don't have a Shania. I don't have a best flight. I'm gonna go worst flight.
Your flight home must have been good. Flight home from Philly.
I was tired as fuck, man. I was so happy to be there, but I was so tired.
But
I
did
was
you
so
get
ready
no
to go home.
delays?
No, not really. No,
I've got a
That's
best
a plus.
plane ride. So my buddy Jonathan Jones, you can follow him on Twitter.
Love Jonathan
He's the
Jones.
lead insider at CBS. He's on the big show now, NFL Today, and he got to travel to Kansas City this week, and he flew on the jet with the big guys.
Good deal.
So best plane ride, JJ.
love
got
JJ.
to experience Arrowhead for the first time.
Arrowhead.
Worst plane ride, the CBS and Fox crews who are usually in studio that had to go to the games. So they're used to going to the studio every week. Now they got to go to some.
No, Dad was so happy it was Philly.
cold-ass place.
But Dad was so happy it was Philly because it could have been the West Coast. He wouldn't have got to see the kids. The whole thing, like, it's funny behind the scenes. You can kind of see where these guys want what they want to happen. Dad for like weeks was like, God, I hope Philly wins. Like, it'd be great to be back on the East Coast and see the boys. And then like for the ratings, I feel like Kansas City is a much better pull for them. Because they have the Super Bowl this year. That Cincinnati would have been great, but KC, they just it's different.
Worst plane ride, also San Francisco 49ers. That's a long way, and it was a bummer.
It was a bummer.
Big
I mean,
bummer.
it was a huge bummer. And you're just like, how much longer can we keep this window open? Like, they've had it open for years now, and they just keep falling short because of a bunch of...
Also, bad plane ride, the guy next to Osai who's trying to keep him up.
Yeah.
You just there are only so many times you can say,
hey, man,
you're going to learn from this. It'll get better.
No, you won't. Sometimes, hey, listen, this is a terrible thing that happened to you.
Traumatic.
I'll talk to you on dissent. Yeah. That would be my
Sorry to possibly derail the mentions, but Tom Brady, 49ers, question mark?
I've heard it for a while.
I thought that was a lot less likely, but they're back at square one. So I don't know.
Well, and then you got the Trey Lance thing.
Are we going to get another that fucking guy?
Give me a hot take on who should be the 49ers quarterback.
Well, now that
hot take?
It's either it's got to be either
hot take.
Derek Carr,
Justin Fields.
Nah, but close.
That would have been fun. I'm kidding. I was joking.
God, hit us with it.
That's a hot take, right?
Trey Lance.
Oh yeah, that is hot.
That's a pretty scorching hot take.
Yeah,
Same guy.
People saying Purdy or Brady.
Same guy.
Trey
That's
Lance.
Margot Robbie hot.
Yeah.
What is up with this thing?
What do you mean?
Everybody seems
It's a
to
viral
be dating
meme this
Margot
weekend.
Robbie. It's a viral meme right now where it's like a gotcha journalism where they show a beautiful picture of Margot Robbie and then a picture of some relief pitcher from the Met. Darren Ruff is now dating Margot Robbie.
No,
And
that's gonna be Sitsy Pass.
It was Isaiah Hodgins yesterday, and his teammate said, "This is not true. And
would
if it
kill
were,
him."
I would cut his legs off."
You think Margot Robbie's an ableist?
I love.
All right, Hollow Man. It's obviously Osai, or it's the mayor.
Yes. Chris,
Wait a week.
Yes.
Dummy.
Yeah, that was bad.
That was that.
It was the mayor who's the Hollow Man. He is the reason that they lost.
The paternity test.
You fucking goofball.
It was a little aggressive, and then just wait the week.
Hey, blurp out the F word. Okay, I want to retweet that because the guy's a goofball. He's cringe, and I hope people can all agree here. Like, there is nobody in America that's like, that was cool when he did that.
I figured he wasn't actually the mayor.
I think Joe Burrow was like cringe.
What are you the mayor of? Quahog, dude? You made up town? Some fucking
no, it's Cincinnati.
They should recall him. There's a process. They can kick him out of office.
Get him
They
out.
should.
I don't think any Bengals
Recall
were pumped
that
about.
mayor.
If you're a Cincinnati Bengal, are you pumped seeing that video?
No.
the week leading
I
up?
bet he stole the election.
Recall.
Yeah, he probably did.
Fucking bastard.
Maricopa Cow.
What do mayors do?
Not a lot.
Yeah, I thought that might be
they
the
could-
case.
Cut ribbons.
He keeps the
big
day job,
scissors?
right, while being the mayor. I kind of want to be the mayor.
Yeah.
I want to be the sheriff.
Just
I
have
would
a
need to
big,
be a lot
big thing
more-
of scissors.
Yeah. Somebody else will
What
have
else
the
do you do?
ribbon.
Yeah.
Do you have a pair of scissors or do you have a scissor?
You have a
one
big,
big
scissor.
scissors.
You put
Do
it.
you call it
you
a pair of scissors
you
or
put it
a
in the
scissor?
you put it in the back of your Kia because you don't get paid a lot to be the mayor.
It's a good question. It's a pair of scissors. One
People
pair
say,
of
do you have a
scissors.
scissor? I'm like, yeah, I got two of them. They make a pair.
No Kia shade though. They're beautiful cars.
You're talking about Kias?
Yeah.
Do we get to the bottom of the
Okay.
Kia theft?
So Bevel Conway. It's San Francisco and the Eagles.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's Chiefs versus Bengals.
No.
I loved it.
Okay.
You think about Arrowhead. You think about how beautiful that stadium was. It was night the entire game.
Yeah.
It wasn't one of those evening games where it's
Oh.
daytime. You know what I mean?
I got a Bevel Conway. The Philadelphia Eagles, the way they set that city on fire, dude, it was. I rolled in. I know Matt saw the same thing because he was up there.
Oh.
Yeah. I've given
They
him
set
two
the city on
opportunities to
fire?
talk about why. But he was up there. He saw this. When you pull into the city, we pulled in Friday night, and it was all the buildings were green. Like all the lights.
Oh,
and,
like the Empire State Building in New York.
Yeah. Well, for the kids,
That
it was
was
really
funny.
cool. You would poo-poo that, but you can't poo-poo the drone show. Did you see the drone show? It was gorgeous. It was cool. They had like the Eagles logo. It's like 100 drones.
Yeah.
And some of them turn off and turn on. So like one logo would turn into
Big
another
flash.
logo. It was crazy.
like a Chinese military display. Have
yes.
you seen those?
Yes. We're kind of approaching that in Philly.
I have a question. When you
We're on the
ascend
verge of a real Super Bowl, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
when you ascend the pole
World domination.
and then you descend the pole, do
Yeah.
you get arrested when you get down the,
The
pole? Or
greasing the
everybody's
poles.
like,
I don't know. I've never been doing
How
that.
many
That's cool.
relationships in Philadelphia
'Cause you
have
could
started
fall
at
in.
the top of a pole?
I don't know.
Like, how'd you get up here? Well, why'd you go up here? Well, the Eagles,
Yeah.
man. The fucking birds.
birds.
Let's bang.
The
Bevel Conway, Tennessee Vols basketball unis. Look them up.
I'll never forget my parents after the NFC Championship game in 17 had to walk like a mile through all that, like back to their hotel, and they were like, "This is Mad Max out here."
Well, it's like, what did you expect?
What did you expect? But yeah, okay. So what do you got, Kyle? You pick the next one.
Fly on the wall.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have been in the Bengals locker room upon entry after when those guys came back in the locker room.
Yeah.
I want to know who's a good guy, who's a bad guy based on their reactions to a teammate making a boneheaded play, which we've all fucking
We've all
made.
done it. They just picked a bad time.
And some players made it more obvious about their character before they even entered the locker room.
Yep.
Fly on the wall headset when Josh Johnson goes down. Is Purdy available?
Fly on the wall.
what are we
How
doing?
drunk was Stetson Bennett? I want to know. I wish I
think
could have seen.
7 a.m. and banging on doors.
Yeah.
I think we know.
Okay. St. Louis Memorial. I'm going to give that to Joel Santos. He works at Fox and he handles the TV music, and he loves My Morning Jacket. And he's the guy I've been wondering for so long who's
good
playing
jams.
Jacket into the commercials. We'll do one big holiday. It'll be the layup line. Yeah, Joel Santos is the guy. Supposedly Joel Santos was sitting in the production room one time and was like, Howie, you ever heard of this band My Morning Jacket? And Dad was like, I seen him at Red Rocks. I was like, oh, that's the coolest thing you've ever said, Dad.
Wow.
Shout out to Dad for standing with GP out at Red Rocks. Everybody was on acid except my parents, I think. And just their seats were like 100 feet away to the left, and I was just watching them because the lights were like illuminating Dad's flat top, and it was a bunch of hippies and shit, and then it was just Dad and Mom.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was awesome.
Balling in obscurity, that Sam Hubbard gets hands on balls. Shout out Kobe. Another big recovery.
Yeah, recovery king.
Big gulps, huh?
Okay, so I'm going to go.
All right.
STL Memorial for me would be Joe Thuney in the screen game.
Okay.
When Joe Thuney first came to the Chiefs, all of our installations done by Andy Heck in the O-line room showed New England screens, and we essentially let Joe Thuney teach.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's a look into one of the longest tenured O-line coaches, one of the most respected and best guys. He played in the league. He lets guys that he deems responsible enough coach when the time's necessary, and you saw it happen in the game. Joe Thuney, great release, great block downfield. STL Memorial.
When you were destroying doors, who did he let coach the room?
That wasn't in Kansas City.
Okay, that was good.
I was on my best behavior.
Chicago doors.
Yeah. I never got to coach.
You were like waiting.
That's why
like,
I was never a captain.
is this my day?
That's why I was never a captain.
No, it just depends. Like sometimes they'll say the players voted, but I know the coaches voted.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Game ball.
Patrick Mahomes.
I'll go Butker. Uneven season, scored 11 points.
I would like to give my game ball to Julie Freimeyer, who is not the head trainer for the Kansas City Chiefs, but she is the head trainer, if you know what I'm saying. Like, Rick Burkholder is the head trainer. He oversees everything. Julie works with Patrick Mahomes.
Ah, got it.
And when Patrick went down with that ankle last week, I know for a fact that he drove across the parking lot to the facility, and Julie was there on call.
On that ankle? He drove on that ankle?
Whatever plans they had, all week was canceled. Julie canceled all her plans to be with Patrick. And I know that's why those guys are able to show up and show
around the clock.
Fly on the wall. Julie Freimeyer. Hey, it's actually a low ankle, but are we going to keep telling everybody it's a high ankle?
Yeah. Hey, Patrick, you need to drive across the street.
Yeah. It's a low ankle, dude. Just drive.
Yeah. Guys, it's coming up. The big game.
Don't you dare.
The Kelce Bowl.
The Kelce Bowl. So
here we go. Two Kelces.
Hope everybody enjoyed their weekend, and we will be back midweek.
Matt Nagy revenge game from the double
Matt
point.
Nagy revenge game.
That's our.
Be there or be square, Kyle.
Peace.
Take care. Listen to the full podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other podcast streaming platforms. Wherever you want to get the podcast, you can get the podcast. Pretty simple. New episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Podcasts get pretty wild. This is real tame.